Welcome back, everybody, and we have an exciting card this week. UFC, September 3rd, UFC Paris, and it's so nice that the UFC gets to bring such a wonderful event overseas. Obviously, you know, the main event is literally catered to this card. You have Ciryl Gane, the #1 contender, going against a huge upcoming contender in Tuivasa. And this, the matchmakers, gave us a treat. This is a free card on ESPN Plus, and it's going to be an early event. It's going to be airing Easter time at 3 p.m. Please tune in. So let's get into it. Ciryl Gane. As you know, his last loss was to the champ, Francis Ngannou. He came up short in a decision. This guy is super technical. He's on a 7-fight win streak in the UFC prior to losing to Ngannou. He's beat Tanner, Junior Dos Santos, Rosenstruck, Volkov, Derek Lewis. You obviously know he's very technical. Elbows, knees, trained by coach Ferdinand Lopez, who's fighting out of MMA Factory in Paris. So this is a home event that they're doing for Ciryl Gane and a lot of these French fighters, which I think is fantastic. They have absolute amazing talent over there. And Ngannou trained out of MMA Factory prior when he separated from his coach. So you have to understand, even them fighting was sick to have two of the top heavyweights both come out of one gyms, in theory, which is absolutely credible. Now let's get to my boy Bam Bam Tai. This guy is on a 3-fight win streak. Started the UFC on a 5-fight win streak and then went on a 3-loss skid. The only thing that gets me paranoid, he's going to do a lot of these traditions that he did with JDS before the fight. And that's what essentially brought him to his losing streak. He kind of brought the opponent into his culture, where they did the whole Huacan thing from the islands that they do, the dance, like the whole assembly. Like we'll throw in a clip for you guys to see. You have to see what he did with Junior Dos Santos before he versed him. And it was actually really cool for to watch TV and to see all that happen. Awesome culture. Definitely check that out. But I heard he's doing like different games, like the Shui game with Gane. So I don't know. I don't know if he's just trying to get into his head. Gane, as you know, has a beautiful Muay Thai background. You have Tai Tuivasa training out of Tiger Muay Thai in Bangkok. This guy is explosive. Super, super explosive. But Notorious Radio is going to rock with Gane. And I'm going to explain to you why we're going to take Gane over Tuivasa. I truly believe Tuivasa wants to make this a firefight. He wants to get in the pocket. He wants to train. He wants to essentially Derek Lewis, Ciryl Gane. But the matchmakers see it exactly how I see it. They have Ciryl Gane at a -540 versus Tuivasa at a +420. They obviously understand that Ciryl Gane is one of the most technical heavyweights. In theory, he didn't even need to fight for the title. He could have got a little more experience. He's only getting better. I believe that loss to Ngannou it's only going to make him more dangerous. And he's going to have to get another crack at that title. He's going to put himself a nice few win streak, but right now he has Tuivasa in front of him, which he has to handle. And I believe he's going to come up big. He's going to keep the distance. He's going to use his fantastic kickboxing to elude Tuivasa and possibly, most likely, knock him out if he's not careful. This is a treat. This is our main event. Our next awesome fight is our co-main event. You obviously know the matchmakers really, really thought this one out. And for the fans, this, in my opinion alone, is a fight of the night. You have former champion Robert the Reaper Whittaker versus Marvin the Italian Dream Vettori. A cool little fact I'm going to let you know, these are the only two opponents in their both UFC careers that have lost twice to Israel Adesanya. Just to speak of how good he is. There's almost nobody left for these guys to fight but each other. This is the #1 Whittaker, and Vettori's the #2 ranked in the middleweight division. They're getting the co-main event slot. The last loss was to Adesanya for both of them. Vettori had a fight after where he got to fight Costa, but it was at a catchweight and he beat up the balloon head at 205, which just shows that he's a dog. He's a beast. He has fantastic wrestling. He has great striking. The Reaper, obviously, he's a UFC vet from 2012. He entered the division as a welterweight. He had 2 losses at welterweight when he moved up to middleweight. At middleweight is when we'd really seen Robert shine. He's beat Uriah Hall. He's beat Derek Brunson. He's beat Jacare Souza. He beat Yoel Romero 2 times. He beat Darren Till. He beat Jared Cannonier. He beat Kevin Gastelum. The only guy who has given this man trouble is our current champ right now, and that's Israel Adesanya. So I do believe this is the safest pick for that night. He's just going to outperform Marvin Vettori because I don't believe Marvin Vettori has near the experience or resume to go against the Reaper. The Reaper has crazy kicks, killer wrestling. He's so gritty. And other than Israel actually having this guy's number, I believe he would still be the champ if it wasn't for Adesanya. He is just that good. He has cleared the entire middleweight division, other than the champ himself. So this is going to be an awesome treat. This is going to be a huge fight because the winner out of this fight is obviously going to see what's going to happen November 12th when Adesanya goes against Pereira. Notorious Radio, we are sitting there nice and low. We got pretty seats. So look out for us. We're going to be with the fans, interacting, chilling with the crowd. It's going to be an absolute stellar night, November 12th, UFC MSG. It's going to be a sick night. This fight essentially is watching this fight, that next fight coming up, because that is for the belt of the middleweight, and this is the number 1 and number 2 ranked contenders in the division. So this is all intertwined. This is a set of essentially setting up the next pay-per-view. The matchmakers are doing this all systematically. They go through all the divisions to set up all these title fights, interim belts, whatever they have to do to keep the show on the road. Don't miss this one. It's going to be a banger. The next fight is Alessio Di Chirico, Italian, nicknamed Manzo. Most of you might know him. He had an awesome little head kick on Joaquin Buckley, taking him out. But his last fight, unfortunately, the sword that he delivered, he received. And he got head kicked by Al Hassan, which took him out. The next middleweight guy that he's fighting is Roman Kopylov. You might have not heard of him, but he was on a 2-fight losing streak. The UFC has not been good to him. He's lost to Robinson and he's lost to Albert Duraev. So this is his 3rd fight in his contract, is what I have to assume. And if he loses, I believe, just like everything else in the UFC, 3 strikes, you're out, unless he pulls up a massive performance. The matchmakers usually don't make mistakes. They would not give this slot. I do believe there's another fighter on this card who deserved this slot, and that is Joaquin Buckley versus Nasarov Imanov. That's the fight that should be the 3rd main event, but I believe that this might be a really big surpriser for the fans, and that the matchmakers have placed this card here just to really have it entertaining, because it's do or die for these guys. One guy is a veteran. He's on the last 5 fights. He has 1 win and 4 losses, and the other guy is 0-2 in the UFC. So these guys really have to come out and possibly fight for their jobs. So this should be good. The matchmakers have this at Di Chirico at -115, and we have Kopylov at -105. Notorious, we're going to have to rock with Ciryl. We believe that he's faced stiffer competition than Roman, and Roman is just possibly, we have to say, not UFC caliber. Maybe the Russian does not have what it takes to rock with the UFC middleweights, and that Ciryl will put the nail in the coffin for this gentleman. As we proceed, we have a lightweight matchup, really fun. We have a big UFC vet, John Makdessi, 18-7. He's been in the UFC since 2010. It's probably more than any of you guys have watched UFC. He's in the last 5 fights. He's 4-1. The only loss, he lost a decision to Trinaldo in Brazil. Got to give this guy respect for even going to Brazil. And he's going against Nasrat Hakprasad, who was a big, big prospect that a lot of people had high hopes for. But as the matchmakers gave him the fights to succeed, he obviously fell short. And it might have been too much of a step up. When he fought Drew Dober, he got knocked out. Then the matchmakers gave him 2 fair fights. He had 2 wins. But then they gave him a big fight in Dan Hooker when Dan Hooker was going on a losing skid to possibly shift his momentum, and Hooker took him out. And then the UFC gave him Bobby Green, and Bobby Green beat him. So he's on a 2-fight losing streak. This is also not a joke for him, and he's going to have to come up big if he's going to want to stay in the UFC and remain as a veteran or as a journeyman, whatever his position is going to be. Notorious, we're going to have to go with the underdog. We're going to go with John Makdessi. I think he's going to come in. He's going to clean up. Between these two, they were supposed to actually meet in 2019. This is a rescheduled bout that both these gentlemen are going to fight each other in 2022 in Paris. Nasrat is actually from Germany, so this is kind of like really close to his backyard. And John Makdessi is coming out there in enemy territory, and he's ready to slug it out. And Notorious is taking him at plus 195. So that's who we're rocking over Nasrat, who's at a minus 230 favorite. We're going to go on to the next fight. These are both UFC debuts. Guys, I cannot repeat it. UFC debuts you cannot miss it. If you do not know these guys and they got a main event slot, I promise you, you do not want to miss a fight like this. We have William Gomez, 10-2. He's fighting out of the same gym as Ciryl Gane. They obviously want to bring up their guy. They have home stage. What a perfect platform for a guy like this to have a UFC debut. I mean, his gym is obviously has high hopes in him. If the matchmakers gave him a main event slot in their backyard, and he gets to fight another UFC newcomer, and that's going to be Jaro Ennis. I did some homework on these guys. William Gomez is on an 8-fight win streak. He's been on a tear. His only 2 losses were in 2016 in the beginning of his MMA career. And he has been solid ever since then. He's going against Jaro Ennis. He's 13-3. He has a kickboxing background. He also looked like he's been a very scrappy veteran in the MMA world. I'm sure he's going to put up another great performance. Notorious, we're going to rock with the French guy. I'm going to keep home court advantage. I kind of have high hopes in William Gomez. I can see he has an 8-fight win streak. He's proving himself on the regional scene. He's ready for the big stage. Notorious is going to take you to minus 210. We're going to rock with this. And for our final, and this is the opening bout on the card, we have one of my favorites. He's Canadian, but he's from Montreal. He's a French speaker. Charles Jourdain, the Pirate, the Beast. Last time I got to see him live was at Belmont in Long Island. He fought Shane Burgos. He didn't win, but he definitely showed enough why he got a turnaround fight quickly. This kid is a dog. He comes to fight. If you've watched him fight, you obviously know he fights to the end. He's brutal. He's a brutal fighter. He grinds down his opponents. He always looks for the finish. This is like Dana White's like favorite type of fighter. Win, lose, he comes with the winning mentality. He comes to slug it out. He wants the bonuses. He's a bonus chaser. And he's versing a very technical Nathaniel Wood at 18-5. He's at a plus 115. Jourdain is at a minus 135. Nathaniel Wood is 2-3 in his last 5 fights. He beat Charles Rosa. He lost to Casey Kenny. And he's been kind of win-loss. But he's very technical. But I'm still going to have to rock with the favorite in Charles Jourdain. I just feel like this is his backyard. He's the French speaker. He's coming in. It was a very tough decision. It could have went either way versus him and Burgos because he was really gutting it out and putting in a lot of damage. He's a really tough featherweight, and he's really exciting to watch. And I love that Dana White always gives him the main event. He's literally a main event fighter. He's no longer prelims. Like, you got to put this guy in the main event. He's exciting. He has the fan base. I love watching him. The fans love watching him. He's getting the opening card, the opening start in the card, and I think that's fantastic. And can't wait to see him on September 3rd. Guys, remember to always like, follow, and subscribe us on YouTube, Instagram, all social media platforms. Remember, this is your host, Mitch, with Fight Pass with Mitch on Notorious Radio 718. And remember, if it ain't notorious, I don't want it. Thank you. Goodbye.